I had a experience last night that reminded me that it's important to let people turn up at their own time. That sounds a bit vague, but I guess okay. So what I'm trying to say is, not everybody is ready to buy at the exact moment when you meet them. Even people who make an inquiry, I find that they're at all different stages of where they're ready for help or not help. And so I was at a farewell function last night for a lady that we've done a lot of work with, and the people that I was talking to were, all different sort of levels of interest in their business and in the internet. And there's no point in me just going around handing out lots of business cards and being annoying. I don't know how everybody else does functions and networking, but I do think you need to stay and talk to people and try and make a kind of a communication and connection with people that are interesting to talk to and that you can get along with, and maybe that you can help them. And I'm sure I've heard that on more than one occasion on different podcasts, that and BNI is definitely teaches this as well to a certain extent, that you establish a connection or a relationship with a few people and make a good impact and make a good impression on them, not just stand around handing out brochures. That may not work in every scenario. I don't know, like if you're at a big trade convention and maybe you need to spread yourself out a little bit. But at a smaller type of function, I like to try and talk to a few different people who are interesting and have, something to say, and who I can listen to and find out more about them. And it doesn't have to be in a business context. I'm just as happy to listen to someone tell me about where they grew up, or what their family's like, or what they do for a hobby. I found early on an appreciation for listening to people's stories. And I know sometimes I do talk too much, so if people ask me a question, I'll, rabbit on endlessly, I suppose, because I get excited and it's like a gust of wind. But I spent a lot of time when I was younger sailing, and often around people who were older than me, and so it was interesting to listen to what they were saying, or what their story was, or just listen to who they were and what they'd done. And there was a client who is passed away now, but used to visit him and him and his wife about, I don't know, probably once a month for a period of while. And we would just have breakfast, and I'd fix his computer or something, and then would tell me about all these stories about his sales days, and how he used to be a van salesman traveling around the country, and what that was like, and how he would promote the products. And it was just remarkable listening to how this person did his sales job 40 years ago in a totally different environment. But still, old Les would still have been friendly, and it was all about the connection, the communication, building relationships with the store owners, showing them value, giving them opportunities to here's a special offer that you can give your customers to to make more sales, and helping them with store layouts and things like that. So I do find that you need to go to these types of functions and be interested in talking to people and hearing what they've got to say. It's not true that everybody is selfish and just wants to talk about themselves, because some people honestly are not quite ready, especially to someone they don't know, just to blurt out their life story. I suppose that everybody's got a different approach to the way they start a conversation, but if you can engage people in some kind of discussion about things that they know about, then they'll be comfortable. Just like if someone asks me, say, Jeremy, what can you tell me about outsourcing, or what can you tell me about the internet, or how do I use social media? Immediately, I'm going to be in a little bit of a comfort area because I know something about those topics. But if the person says to me, Jeremy, I've been thinking about I was trying to think of an obscure topic. The tax planning requirements for a self-managed super fund. And I would say, well, that's very interesting. I have no idea about it. But I do know an awesome guy that I can talk to that knows all about this stuff. Roy, you should go and talk to him because he knows his stuff when it comes to self-managed super funds. So I'm not saying, don't try and have a conversation if you don't know something about a topic, but if you can ask people questions in a way that leads them to you in terms of them being interested to talk to you, then that's really powerful. And something from my network marketing days called FORM, which was family, occupation, recreation, and message. And it applies in other business contexts as well. So family was find out about their family. Ask people about, what their dog is like. Do they have kids? Have they, been traveling around or whatever? Occupation. So depending on people's age, you might ask them, what have they been doing? What's keeping them busy? What do they do with their time? What's their work and occupation? And generally, for a lot of people, that's a big part of their life. So they'll be interested in sharing something of that, especially if it's their own business. Recreation is, what do people do outside of their job? How they a part-time woodturner? Do they play a sport? Do they have a hobby of gardening? And it is usually that if people have something that they do they're interested in, they would love to talk about it. I mean, if someone said to me, "Oh, Jeremy, can you tell me a bit about kite surfing?" I'd be happy to talk to you about that. It's something that I enjoy. It's not something that I have to sort of sell or do. Sorry. And people enjoy their recreation. You just have to give them an opportunity to bring it up, because we don't like, especially in Australia, I don't know about other countries, but we don't like to promote ourselves. So you don't walk up to someone and say, I don't know, "Oh, hey, I'm a mad keen dirt bike rider. I just won a competition yesterday, and it's really awesome. And I've been traveling around the country." I mean, you don't start a conversation like that. The person will be like, "Dude, what are you? Are you trying to sell me something? Are you up yourself?" You can't start a conversation that way. But if you ask the person, "Oh, hey, what'd you do on the weekend?" and they say, "Oh, well, I was in a cross-country running competition, and it was, quite hard, but, I got a sore leg and whatever." And you can then keep the conversation going. But we don't like to self-promote. And I'm partly because you don't know if the person's interested in what you're going to say. And it sounds very abrasive if you just throw out things at people randomly without having any idea whether they might be interested in, craft, or whether they might be more interested in aviation, or whether they're into sailing or whatever it is. So try and find out what they're interested in. Where was I? I'm getting a bit sidetracked here. Right, okay, so establishing a message. So I'd rather go to a function and maybe, share 1 or 2 business cards than, hand out 100. And there was a business owner there, already quite successful, got a website set up, doing great with Facebook, using Google Ads, really, really smashing it, a really successful business. And I was just listening going, wow, you've really got yourself a good, everything's working really well. You must have, good people for your website, and you're doing well with Facebook and all that sort of stuff. And it wasn't screaming out to me, "I'm desperate for help." It wasn't like, "Oh, I've got this big problem and I don't know how to use Facebook, and my website's broken." I mean, if people say, "Oh, Jeremy, my website, it's terrible," well, I might try and, talk to them about how I could help. But if everything's going great, the best thing I can do is find out, what are they doing? How is it? What is actually working for them? And just get to know them better and say, "Look, obviously everything's pretty sorted out right now, but maybe we can help them with their computers, or maybe I can just give them some advice, or maybe I can learn something from them." If we create that connection, that relationship, and if I can be slightly remembered, if they can go, "Oh, who was that guy that was at that function for that lady who was into the internet?" And I mean, whatever that connection is, it might be 6 months, might be 3 years, who knows, but eventually they might need a hand with something. And if I can still be just remembered a little bit, Yeah, maybe it's because they're getting an email from me or something. Whatever it is, they might see an ad or they talk to someone that we know or someone we work with. If I can embed my ability of, oh, this is what I do, and they remember that, then maybe we will be able to help them in the future. But there's no point in ramming stuff down and saying, oh yeah, we're awesome, come and work with us or anything, because if they're doing everything great, then like let them keep doing it. There's a lot of opportunity to help people. I know it doesn't always present itself in the most obvious way. It doesn't always pop up when you want it to turn up. It's like you might be busy as all get out, but you're going, where are all the people who need my help? So I find that it works really well if I can create a connection with people, get to know them, and just if I can help them, let them know. If it seems like everything's going great, gangbusters for them, then let them keep doing it. I don't want to try and oversell what we do or force ourselves on people. So everybody's got a maturation period. Even people we do quotes for, sometimes it can take a while for them to decide that they want to get started. Okay, that was a little bit rambling. I hope that still makes sense. I'm really not a fan of planning out my podcast recordings too much. Feel free to hit me up and say, Jeremy, you're a rambling idiot. Yeah, look, I hope that provides some context and a little bit of a story in there as well. So have a great day. Thanks.